They look white in this light, but they're not really. Okay, so what we got here now, Easter Festival. Paskalny Festival Valery Gergiev. Gergiev, I'm not sure how he stresses himself. That's the problem, it's difficult to know. If you're not actually in the Russian sort of culture all the time, then people come along and you can't always guess what they call themselves if you haven't been brought up here and what have you. It's not the sort of thing that fits in your first 10 or 20,000 words is to learn the stress of everybody's surname or place names and things like that, because there's an awful lot of them, you see. This is what comes into people's vocabulary that makes up the extra thousands of words above the basic that you need when you normally learn a foreign language to fluency. You're fluent, but you don't know the pronunciation or necessarily the meaning of some rather strange words that are used in place names mainly, or in people's surnames, and all the associations that might be with them, because you'd need to have gone to school there, learned history through their eyes, gone around in their country, learned all the geography, learned what these places look like, and you can do some, but you can't do it all for every place. And if you're a polyglot and you're interested in learning maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 languages, well, you can learn the grammar, you know, how to do a past tense, how to do a future tense, how to do a present tense, and some basic kind of constructions, you know, your prima dis and your dopo avers. You can do them all for, you know, 20 languages, 30 languages, 40 languages. You can learn a 2,000, 3,000 word vocabulary. You can use Gold List, and you can certainly do that in the course of a lifetime study. You can cover all of that for you know, for 20, 30 languages. You know, you don't have to be even that clever to do it if you've got a good technique. That's the main thing. You'll look clever, of course, because people don't know it's not really about cleverness. It's just about having a good technique. In my case, I was quite clever to develop the technique, but that's where the cleverness was, and not actually in the fact of learning those languages extra. Once you've learned 3 or 4 or 5, then there's not an awful lot more extra cleverness in learning 20. Maybe there's even some cleverness in deciding that you're not going to do it, but I just like doing it, that's why I do it. And if that's anybody's answer, then that's not to be argued with, because you can't account for taste. But don't go thinking, ladies and gentlemen, that people that are able to learn 20 languages and have, you know, an ability to understand most of what's going on are really clever. But if somebody could, for, you know, like 10, 20, really, you know, have such an encyclopedia in their head that they could really get all of the native style connotations from even things like place names, people's names, and be able to learn all the stresses or irregularities connected with those things. I'm talking about the sorts of things, ladies and gentlemen, that in English, you know, the British get wrong when they go to America, and the Americans get wrong when they come to Britain. So, you know, we go to America and there's some kind of like local place, and we don't know how to pronounce it. You know, we say things like Arkansases and what have you, and we don't know. Obviously, most people do know that it's Arkansas, but I'm talking about more local places than that. And Americans come to the United Kingdom and they talk about Leicester and what have you, and they don't understand why it should be Worcester when it looks like Worcester. So I'm talking about things like that. You can learn things like that for your foreign languages if you learn 3 or 4. But doing that as a hyper-polyglot and getting that kind of nuance right over 10, 15, 20 languages, that's a different matter. That becomes very clever if you can do that. And people say, well, what's a polyglot and what's a hyper-polyglot? Well, I find it ridiculous to talk about it in terms of fluency in languages, yeah, because one of my people that talk to me on Facebook, I get people that completely ignore the fact that I've asked people to not do one-on-ones but to talk to me publicly so that other people can derive a benefit, and they still kind of talk to me privately, and to a degree I kind of like sometimes do it because I think to myself, well, one of these days I'm going to go back and harvest all of this for articles that I can share with everybody else. It's a question of them finding the time to do it. But really, I'm not getting the time because these people are insisting on one-to-oneing me. There's one or two people I actually welcome it from, but there's others that I just kind of barely tolerate it from. If that's upsetting anybody, then